Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we're going to give you a full rundown of everything we know about Fallout 4 so far. During the video we'll cover the stuff you might have missed from the trailer, as well as a few other bits of information from rumours and leaks. First, let's take a look at some of the locations shown in the trailer and then their real life counterparts. First up is Scollay Square, which is the first bit of proof that the game is in fact set in Boston, confirming rumours from almost 2 years ago. However, there are also several other notable landmarks. There's Fenway, the famous Boston baseball park. This is pretty clear with the matching green walls and the baseball player statue outside. In the trailer you'll also see signs indicating Diamond City, which at first glance looks like it's just outside of Fenway. But on further inspection you can see the stadium lights are actually facing inwards, so that means Diamond City is actually inside Fenway Park, in classic Fallout style. You can also see the park's entrance earlier in the trailer, and there's also a diamond painted on the wall, so it all fits in together. There's also several other baseball references in the Diamond City shot, so it looks like it's a pretty interesting place to explore. On top of that, you might have also noticed the jacked out rocket ship. That's actually the USS Constitution, a frigate made in Boston made famous for its victories during the War of 1812. It's actually still in commission today and mostly used for celebrations or for educational purposes. However, it seems after the Great War it's received some pretty interesting upgrades. Moving on, there's the famous Paul Revere statue. Apart from looking a bit scorched, the statue has actually stayed in pretty good nick all things considered. Paul Revere was made famous for a poem based on his efforts to alert the townspeople of an incoming British attack. In another shot you can see the golden dome of the Boston State House. In the trailer you also get a great skyline view of the rest of the city, which looks much more dense than in previous Fallout games. It actually looks like a proper city, instead of a smaller settlement. And then finally there's the Bunker Hill Monument looking in a pretty rundown state. This is another building to commemorate a battle between the British and Patriot forces in the American Revolutionary War. There's some general things we can take from the trailer as a whole. As I said earlier, it definitely seems the game is much more dense than previous titles. There's several points where you just see tons of stuff lying around, especially in the garage. You can also see much further into the distance, and there's much more to see too, especially in the cities. The models and animation quality also look significantly better. They were always so rigid in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, but now it's actually up to par with other games. People seem to be complaining about the graphics and particularly the textures, but if you're playing on PC then that'll be fixed almost immediately by mods. We also really like the colour palette and the fact that the game has some actual vibrant colours, instead of the usual green tint. There's been a call from a few Bethesda employees for people to scour through the garage shot in the trailer, using the 4K wallpaper on the main site. It's important to note that the screenshot is actually in-engine, which is clearly seen when you zoom in and look at the grass, or the fading detail when you look into the distance. So with that in mind, let's do a quick breakdown of what we see. First is the obvious power armor in the center of the garage. Then if we zoom in a bit you'll see a Nuka-Cola poster, the dog companion and a Vault poster. Then on the left there's a minigun of sorts, as well as a whole host of different weapons hanging on the wall. On the floor you can also see a disassembled Mr. Handy, which might be from the house that we see at the start of the trailer. And then finally on the outside of the garage there's some type of customized weapon and then a Nuka-Cola machine on the right. We think the biggest thing that you can take from this image is that it heavily implies a new, more detailed crafting system. With the customized weapon and the tied up power armor, it suggests we might even be able to make up our own sets from parts by scavenging around the wastelands. The guns on the wall are also in parts, and the minigun under wraps looks like it's currently in construction. The disassembled Mr. Handy might also mean you can deconstruct robots around the wastelands and then use their parts on your own armor and weapons. So it definitely seems like there's a high level of customization there, and hopefully they go into more detail on the 14th. During the flashbacks in the trailer we see a man with his wife and child. The man looks strikingly similar to the Vault Hunter seen at the end of the trailer, so that's of course led to several theories on why they look almost identical. One rumour is that you actually get to play as the grandson of the man that you see die in the nuclear blast later on in the trailer. But one thing that goes directly against that is that you also see the man's child get blown up too, so it doesn't make sense. Although that nuclear explosion could just be for the trailer and not be based on the actual story. Another rumour is that your character is actually frozen in a cryo chamber, and then you wake up after the events of Fallout 3. This is supported by a leak from a supposed Bethesda employee 11 months ago. The last rumour for the main character is probably our favourite. It's that you're actually playing an android constructed by the Institute, with the embedded memories of the man seen in the trailer. So that fits in with the fact that you can see the man and child both die, but yet you clearly must be related in some way. For the release date rumours, we have a pretty solid date in October 23rd, 2015, so that's just under 5 months away. Bethesda usually has a habit of teasing a game and then showing gameplay at E3 the following year, and then finally releasing the game that year. They did the same with Skyrim, but with it being shown at E3 2011. This time around they announced the game with an official trailer and just skipped all the teaser nonsense. The reason for October 23rd exactly is twofold. One reason is that October 23rd is the day the bombs fell during the Great War. And another solid piece of evidence is that when you try to pre-order the game you get a 20% off code for Fallout merchandise which expires on October 31st. So from that we can assume the pre-order campaign is scheduled to end by the end of October, which fits perfectly with an October 23rd release date, because that gives you a week after the release to use your codes. That's everything we have so far. The 14th is only 10 days away, so we don't have long to wait before we get to see everything we want. If something else pops up then we'll be sure to keep you informed, but until then we'll be back to our Skyrim Spotlight starting tomorrow. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go, pal.